You can actually build up your credit score to around the 700 mark reasonably quickly. I built mine up to 720 in 1 year, and I didn't really try to rush it. I'm confident that you could get to 700 even quicker than I did. If you have used the authorized user approach and then add a secured card or two, a 700 score in less than 6 months is achievable. But let's go through the credit building process for people who don't have that luxury. If you did manage to get on someone else's account as an authorized user, then that's great, and you can follow along the next steps to increase your score even faster. So for people who haven't been added as an authorized user, once you have your first card, let's say it's the Discover It secured with a $200 limit, and you put $200 down as a deposit, you can start using your card. But with this card, you really do not need to spend much money on it. Just buy a coffee on it or pay a bill with it each month and then pay it back in full. I would even suggest that you enroll your card in autopay for the minimum payment so that you are guaranteed to never have a missed payment on your credit report. You only get a missed payment reported if you fail to pay the minimum payment, and this would be a real big setback on a credit profile that is so new. And making sure you never miss a payment is also a very important part of maintaining your high score in the future. Make sure you keep your utilization under 30%. Remember, utilization is the amount of the credit limit that you use. So on your statement date, your card should preferably have been paid off already, since you can pay any time during the month and it'll show as an on-time payment on your report. But if you do have a balance to pay, it should be under 30% of the overall credit line, and under 10% is even better. In our first year of building credit, we are focusing on payment history and utilization, the two biggest factors that affect your credit. If you're in a rush to improve your credit quickly, you can apply for 2 secured cards. The more cards, the more on-time payments reporting each month. I would recommend one from Capital One and one from Discover. This is only doable as long as you have enough money for the deposits. Capital One's minimum deposit for someone with no credit is $200, although if you have some credit history but a poor score, you could pay as low as $49 deposit for a $200 limit card. Discover also has a $200 minimum. So in general, 2 secured cards will require you to put $400 away with these companies. But to put that in context, $400 is the deposit I had to pay for a cell phone plan when I had no credit. I also had to pay a $300 deposit to the electricity company for a year when I moved house. The deposit for my apartment was $3,000 plus 3 months rent up front. So the refundable $400 worth of deposits you are paying Capital One and Discover will allow you to avoid other similar or even more expensive deposits in the future. If you are able to put more money in a deposit, especially with Discover, I would advise that. With the Capital One card, I would say just do the minimum of $200, and we will explain why in a moment. After 5 months of on-time payments, Capital One will raise your credit limit without requiring any additional deposit. Discover will start reviewing your card at 8 months, and as long as you pay on time on your Discover card and on all other cards on your credit report, Discover will probably determine that they can return your deposit and convert your card into a non-secured version. If you have been responsible, you should be able to get the full deposit back whilst keeping the card open. Capital One officially only gives you the deposit back when you close your account, although some people have had their accounts successfully converted to non-secured and their deposits returned. But this is not guaranteed with Capital One. That's why I advise just pay the minimum they require of you, since getting it back is not guaranteed until you close your account, and I wouldn't advise closing an account in your first year of credit building. You can also try getting the Capital One Platinum non-secured credit card. It is not unheard of that people with no credit history at all can get approved for that card. So if you get a Discover It secured card first, and then wait a few months, you could probably get the unsecured Capital One Platinum. A clue to your approval odds is whether or not you start receiving junk mail from Capital One. If you start receiving Capital One Platinum card mailers, then you're probably going to get approved for the card, and I would recommend that you apply. There are also some other ways to get on-time payments reported to the credit bureaus from open credit accounts. One is Experian Boost, which will report payments from utilities such as your electricity bill. It may help those who just started out. Then there is Ultra FICO, which lets you connect your bank account and uses your financial data to help increase your score. Again, only useful for people who hardly have any credit score. Then there is also Self-Lender, which is a company that lets you make a loan to yourself like a secured credit card. This can help you get one extra on-time payment reported every month and increase your credit score faster. I will put links to all of these in the info below. Now back to credit cards. With 2 credit cards with low utilization reporting on-time payments, your credit score should get to the upper 600s within 8 months. You would now have more options in terms of what you can get approved for. You may want to get a basic rewards card like the Chase Freedom. This would be a good choice considering Chase's 524 rule. You'll find out more about that later in the course. Then, as your credit score hits the 700 mark, I advise to apply for your first American Express card. It doesn't have to be an expensive Amex Charge card, but you could start with the Amex Everyday card or the Amex Hilton Honors card. Both have no annual fee. The reason is that Amex cards, in my experience, are easy to get approved for once your credit score hits 700. It is not unheard of for you to get a $10,000 limit on an Amex credit card with a credit score in the low 700s and a history of less than a year and an average income, $40,000 to $50,000 range. You will want these higher credit limits on your credit report to lower your utilization. You can start gradually asking for credit limit increases on your other cards too. These higher limits will also look good when applying for premium travel credit cards that typically have minimum credit limits. The Chase Sapphire Reserve will approve a minimum of $10,000, for example. So if they see other accounts on your report with $10,000 limits, they are more likely to approve you. So that's how to build your credit score fast. If you can use this method combined with the authorized user approach, it's not unheard of to get to a 700 credit score in 3 to 6 months. In order to keep your score from dropping, you must never miss a payment. Thus, I recommend auto pay for minimum payments on all credit card accounts. You must keep your utilization low. Stay under 30%. If you really want the best score possible, under 10%. To be honest, once you have a large amount of credit, this aspect becomes very easy. I, for example, have about $60,000 worth of credit across my personal credit cards, and thus I only use about 3 or 4% of it. Then you should also limit hard credit inquiries. The fewer the better, but I would say try to stay under 3 or 4 a year. Hard inquiries take 2 years to come off your credit report, so you can only get rid of them by waiting, and this could set back your plans if you have too many of them. Once you're in the 700 club, which is what we've taught you to do in this video, you can basically apply for whatever credit card you want. I would recommend 1 new card every 6 months to limit hard pulls, but some people do more than that. Having more lines of credit on your report looks good and actually helps your score improve. And as you go past a year in credit history, the length of open accounts also starts to play a role in helping your credit score improve. Getting from 700 to 750 is a slower process, and getting from 750 to 800 is even slower. But follow these steps and everyone should reach at least the upper 700s within a few years. So now you know which credit cards to start with and how to improve your score. Let's look at all the types of credit cards you can get once you get to 700 or so and basically can get approved for anything.